Christy, Mark, Rick, Karen, Asher. Eliana, can you hear me okay? You may be on mute. Rick, thank you for getting back to me. Eliana, thank you. Okay, let's get a couple more. Um, I, Eliana, I cannot hear you. Can you? Sorry, Eliana, you're on mute. Thank you. Eliana, you're off of mute. Can I hear you? Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect.
Good. Okay, let's give it one more minute, let the rest of the folks come on in, and then we'll be able to get started here. Okay, why don't we get started? Folks that are going to stream in can join us when they get here. Good morning, everyone. I'm John Strittmatter, and I want to thank you for joining us today for our second Customer Success webinar of 2018. We're scheduled to be together for about an hour this morning, so let's get going. Before we get into the content, we need to attend to a couple of housekeeping items. First, attendees will be on mute for the entire session, and we'll pause on a periodic basis to take questions to ensure that you're getting your questions answered. Please use the chat to submit your questions, and we'll respond to all of them. Some will be answered during our session today, and the rest will be answered shortly afterward. We're going to provide an access to a recording of the session so you can access it going forward. And then finally, please provide any feedback you feel will be useful. These sessions are for your benefit, so your feedback is critical to ensuring we're on target, and we'll be happy to adjust to ensure you're getting maximum value going forward. So we're going to have a short survey at the end, and any feedback you can provide us would be very useful. We got some great feedback the last time, and I'm sure we'll get some more during this session. So let's proceed. Your hosts today are Eliana Valderrama and myself. Eliana is a Panaya education specialist based out of Hackensack in our New Jersey office. And I'm John Strittmatter, a customer success manager based out of California. You can see we've both been in the business for a while, and we're looking very much forward to working with you. So let's get moving here. So our mission in Panaya customer success is simple, but certainly not easy. As you can see from the slide, we aim to ensure you realize maximum value from your Panaya solution investment every day, now and in the future. And if we're successful, your subscription renewal decision will be a no-brainer. It's incumbent upon us to ensure you're realizing all the value you can. We're always going to try to be proactive, but this is a partnership. So please reach out if you think there's any way that we can help. Maybe you have an outside the box approach to using Panaya that we've not thought about, that we could look into and see if that works. But at any rate, I hope you'll consider us a valued member of your team and feel very comfortable leveraging us going forward. So that's the spirit of why we're here today and why we'll continue to be here twice a month moving forward. We want to ensure you're taking full advantage of the Panaya solution. We really want to make sure that you have the means to use what you need when you need it. And at a minimum, we want to get the most out of the functionality for which you're currently subscribed. We also want to make sure that you stay current regarding the big picture and have a strong sense of everything Panaya can do for you. And that's the primary focus of our first session every month, keeping you informed and current. That's the knowledge transfer session that we're talking about. The second session that we're having today will be a deep dive into selected functionality, providing legitimate training as a refresher or for new members of your team, or even to get some hands-on exposure to Panaya functionality you're considering for the future. And that's what Ileana is going to be doing for you today. So, our cadence, you can see there's a change here since the last time. We'll be conducting these sessions twice a month, every month, on the second and fourth Thursdays. The knowledge transfer session will be 60 minutes in length and will focus on recent and future developments to the Panaya solution. We'll spend time relating this to the overall solution and wrap up with an overview of the services we can provide. So by the way, these services are available in almost every case at no cost to you. And then the solution mastery session, which we're doing today, will be 90 minutes in length and will focus on a selected technical topic. Today, we'll be focusing on the Panaya Test Center. And next month, we'll focus on accessing data within the Panaya environment and so on. And all of these sessions will be recorded and made available for your reference going forward. So please weigh in with any suggestions you may have regarding the topics you want to learn more about. And as always, to get help, go out to Panaya Success Center, contact your CSM. You can log a support ticket via the support portal, log a support ticket via email, and you can certainly reach out for on-site training and workshops that are available to you. Again, this is just a refresher, and look forward to handing this off to Eliana now so she can walk you through the Panaya Test Center platform. Eliana, why don't you go ahead? Eliana, can you hear me? I think you may be on mute. Okay, hold on. Let me see here. So I think you may be on a 781 number. Hold on. I think you may need to call in via the computer. Try this again. Ileana, I'm unable to. Let's turn your voice on now. There you go.
John, can you hear now?
I can hear you now. All is good. I'm gonna turn myself off and I'll let you take over. I can hear you fine. Ileana, I can't hear you now because you're coming through as on the phone. When you're set up as a computer user. Somehow that was not working. Hold on. One second. Sorry, everyone. Eliana, I've just sent you another invitation to join the session as a presenter. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you off the list, Eliana. Sorry, everyone, for the delay here. So, Eliana, I'm going to take you off the list. And then we are going to, hopefully you'll join again as a presenter. There we go. There we go. Okay. Ileana is disconnecting and joining again. Sorry, everyone, for the technical troubles here. Okay, Anna, you should be a presenter now. You should be able to access via your computer. The microphone at the bottom of the video for your camera. There you go. Sharing your desktop. Now you just need to access your okay, you should be able to use your voice now. That setting is updating.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh,
Very.
okay, perfect. Oh, I can breathe again. I'm not sure what was going on with uh, technology today. But hello, everybody. I really apologize about the delay. As you know, sometimes things doesn't go as planned with technology, but here we are. So, like John mentioned before, today we're gonna dive more in detail around some of the Panaya functionalities. If anybody has any issues listening, please send me a quick message and I will try to continue to fix the audio. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue. So what exactly are we going to cover during this session today? So our main focus will be the Panaya Test Center. We are going to focus around a standard test and quick test. So in the standard test, we are going to do a refresher around the different methodologies that Panaya offers when it comes to using the platform for testing activities. So for the standard test, we are going to overview the Panaya test recorder, and then we're going to move into the quick test where we're going to learn how we can oralize the new Panaya test player.
Okay. Somehow we've lost Ileana again. Let me see if she's somehow she was demoted from a presenter's mode.
Okay, can you
Ileana,
hear me back?
I can hear you again now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, and I was saying that we also are going to then focus on the script editing functionality. So this is another new functionality that Panaya released around November last year. It's been very well received. We have gotten great feedback from customers. So right now you have the ability to edit values, instructions in your script. So today we are going to dive in detail and learn more about how you can do this. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to share a few slides with you, and then I'm going to jump into the platform and do a demonstration of this functionality. So let's start by talking about what Panaya is currently offering, just as a way for us to take a step back and remember and do that quick refresher around what Panaya is currently offering. So Panaya supports test execution while automatically recording the evidence. So whenever you are using the standard test, you can use the Panaya recorders, and then once you use the recorder, anything that you are capturing from SAP or from a web-based application, the Panaya recorder will be able to capture all of those activities. So once those activities are captured, you can see them as part of the evidence of your testing activities. You can also use the Panaya recorder to report defects and automatically capture and document the issue. So we have noticed across teams, one of the biggest issues that they encounter is that when they are managing defects, sometimes the developer doesn't have enough information to know exactly what is wrong and where they need to focus in order to fix the issues. So with the Panaya recorder, now when you are reporting a defect, you will be able to capture the evidence, which is going to show the developer exactly what went wrong while executing a particular testing activity. And then a script creation with the Panaya recorder. So we have the option to create our scripts manually, but then we also can use the Panaya recorder to record our activities from our ERP system, and then we can record and use that recording as a script that we can share along with other members in the team, maybe a third-party company, or maybe somebody new in the team who needs that script to use it as a reference, so that way they can also perform those testing activities. And then in addition to this, like I mentioned before, now Panaya offers the ability to edit your script. So today we are going to learn exactly how you can do this. And then going back again, so Panaya offers two different ways for you to execute your testing activities. The first way is the standard test. So in this image, we can see a brief description of what exactly is a standard test. So in a standard test, we are going to find different testers. So for example, tester number one is going to be running transaction number one. And then after this tester runs this transaction and passed everything successfully, then it's going to pass the baton to the second tester in line. So after the first step in this testing activity has been run by tester number one, the second step is going to be ready to be tested by tester number two, who is going to perform that activity, and so on. So in here we have collaboration between teams. In here we have different testers. Each tester is running one step at a time, recording the evidence, and then passing the baton to the following tester in line. So in Panaya, this is how a standard test looks like. So in here we can see this is a testing activities around some sales process, business process. And then we can see we have about 6 different steps. So step number one, for example, being create sales order using transaction code VA01. This is going to be performed by James, and then so on. We have the following steps. So we can see James passed step number one successfully, and then Liam was able to now get notified, and Panaya basically notified Liam that his second step was ready to be tested. Then he came to Panaya, performed that second step, passes successfully, and now we can see that the baton is up to Thomas. But then we can see everything is stopped there because while Thomas was performing this testing activity, something went wrong. So he failed that step. So the following steps are not ready to be tested until Thomas fix the issue that he may be encountered when performing step number 3. So a little later, we're gonna be able to review this a little more in detail. And then we also have the quick test. So this is another another way how you can utilize Panaya to execute your testing activities. So what is the main difference between a standard test and a quick test? So as we can see here in this image, in the quick test, we have only one tester. We are not passing the baton. We don't have dependencies between steps. In the quick test, we just have one tester who is running the entire process from beginning to end, and then that tester is either passing everything if it's as expected, or maybe if he encounters something like a defect or an error, then the entire process is going to be failed. So once again, quick test will be for just one tester running the entire process from beginning to end. And then in the quick test, so instead of steps, we're going to have planned runs. And each planned run is going to be assigned to one particular tester. Once again, that particular tester is going to be running everything from beginning to end. And then in here, we have an image of the Panaya new player. So the Panaya new player is going to allow that particular tester to run everything from beginning to end. Later on, we are going to be able to explore the different execution modes that you have available in the Panaya player, and that you can utilize to play back that particular entire process that you are going to be testing. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into Panaya and do a quick demonstration. So once again, we are going to learn how we can run and document test. We are going to review the evidence that we have created with the Panaya recorder. We are going to learn really quickly how we can report a defect, and then we are going to overview the quick test and the new Panaya player. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. Yes. Okay, great. So right in here, I have this business process. So the idea of this testing activity is to create a purchase order. So in here, I have three different steps. So the first step is generate a PO number using transaction code ME21N. This is assigned to this particular tester. Then I have a second step using the Migo transaction code, and then another third step using the application Salesforce. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click into this icon, run and document. So this is what is going to deploy or open the Panaya recorder, and it's going to allow me to record this testing activity. So I'm going to go ahead, press this icon. And let me move the recorder. It's opening in my other screen. So just give me 1 second. There we go. So here we have the recorder. Before I start recording this activity, let me give you a quick overview of the Panaya recorder. So the interface of the recorder was actually updated around December. So if you have been using the recorder, you probably notice the change. So here at the top, we have different icons. Right in here, you will find test information. So whenever you are in the planning stage of your testing activities, if you have provided any data for the tester to order an activity, you will be able to see it right in here. And then we also have the option to record from SAP, or if you are an Oracle user, so instead of SAP, you will be able to see the Oracle option. But then you also have the option to record from a particular browser. So if you have an application like Salesforce that is web-based, you can definitely record those testing activities from there. Or if you are using just other applications, you can record them with the Panaya recorder as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording my activity. Let me just make sure that my SAP is logged on. Let me just okay. So here I have my SAP. Going to press start recording again. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me. Okay, let me see if now letting me. Okay, perfect. So now we can see this little dot in here is going on and off. That is the indication that the Panaya recorder is now recording my activity. You can expand this if you want to see all the controllers. And then I can go ahead and start executing my ME21N transaction. So there we go. So right in here, I'm going to start entering my values. Bear with me. Uh, okay, let's say we need 30 of these. If you keep hearing that beeping, I've been trying to silence that beeping, but it's not going away. I am almost done. Just one more value here. There we go. Save. And there we go. Now I have my PO number right in here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and stop the recording of this activity since that is all I needed to perform for this particular step. Okay, and now this is asking me, okay, do you want to pass or fail this testing activity? So everything went as expected, so I'm just going to click into pass. And then right in here, we can also see the PO number that we created. If you want to add any particular comments, maybe something that can inform other members in your team, you can add those comments right in here. And then we can just click into save. And now, if I refresh my Panaya platform, I can see for step number 1, I'm going to be able to see the evidence. So this is everything that we capture with the Panaya recorder. We can switch into a script viewer. This is another functionality that was released at the end of the year, last year. So the script viewer allow us to navigate everything that we recorded with the Panaya recorder. So right in here, for example, we have the screenshot of when we selected ME21N. If I keep going, it's going to show me the values that I enter. So for example, in here, towards the right, I have the vendor value 1000. It's showing me the screenshot of SAP as well. And then I can just keep navigating. If there are many different steps and maybe I want to jump, for example, directly to step number 8, I can definitely do that. And it's going to show me the evidence of everything that I perform in SAP. Okay, so I'm going to pause in here. Please let me know if anybody has any questions about running an activity with the standard test approach, or if there are any questions around the Panaya recorder that I can answer before we continue with the next portion of it.
Any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. At this point, Eliana, we're the chat when we don't have any questions.
John, I'm sorry, but I can't hear you well.
I'm sorry. At
Can
this
you
point,
repeat the question?
we don't have any
Oh,
questions
okay.
in the chat. So let's why don't we keep going?
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then what I want to point out right now is how we can also use the Panaya recorder to report any defects. So let's say, for example, we are going to run our Migo transaction code. So same process, we click into run and document. This is gonna launch the Panaya recorder. Then let me drag it to the screen. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording. Let me go into SAP. And now I'm going to select Migo. Okay. So one of the advantages of using the Panel Recorder is that, for example, I didn't get my PO number. I didn't copy and paste it, but once we go into test information and we open this window, we're going to be able to see the PO number right in there. So all the information is going to be available in just one single place. No need for you to, I don't know, go between screens, between applications, because the Panaya Recorder is basically providing you all the information that you need to perform your testing activities. Okay, so everything here is going okay, but let's suppose that we encounter an issue in here. So with the Panel Recorder, you're gonna find this icon. It's called Report a Defect. Once you click into it, this is gonna bring us into another screen. And this is where we are going to provide all the information about this particular defect that we encounter so the developer can resolve this. So here at the top, I have the transaction code. So I can provide additional information. So let's say, for example, vendor value was not accepted. And then down in here, I can say, okay, I'm going to assign this to the particular developer. So in this case, let's say John Smith. I can say I want to put a due date because I really need to continue with this testing activity. So I hope John can resolve this defect by tomorrow, the latest. And then down in here, I can provide the evidence of that particular defect. So the great thing about this too is that, for example, when you click into edit, this is going to open up all these different tools that you can utilize to point out exactly where you encounter the defect. So let's say, for example, right in here, this value, I can, oops, that wasn't supposed to be the way. Okay, let's put it this way. And then I can say, I can even add a note. So I can say code not accepted, and I can click into close. And now I can point out exactly where I encountered that issue so my developer can have all the information that they need to resolve this particular defect. So that is another advantage of using the Panaya recorder for capture the evidence of your testing activity, but also to capture the evidence of your defects. Okay, so please let me know if there are any questions about using the recorder to report any particular defect. John, let me know if there are any questions in the chat.
Looks like there's no questions. Looks like everything's clear to this point. Keep going. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go back under my test tab, and then I'm gonna go back into my PO folder. So right in here, I have pretty much the same business process that we use Autolize for the standard test. So I have my generate PO number and create receipt with the Migo transaction code. I have these two steps have passed successfully, and the two of them have the evidence of that particular testing activity. So what I'm going to do now is use this evidence as a script. So with the quick test, we are going to be able to convert the evidence available in these two different steps as a one entire script. So the way how we can do this is very simple. Once we select the standard test, we can right click and select convert to quick test. So this is going to convert this standard test into a quick test. And this is also going to give us the ability to select if we want to save that quick test in the same folder, or maybe we want to move it to a different cycle. So I'm just going to keep it in the same cycle. And then I'm going to click convert. And there we go. Now here we have our quick test. One way how you are going to be able to differentiate a standard test versus quick test is by the icon. So as you see, this is the icon for the standard test. And right in here, we have the icon for the quick test. So you're always going to find that little camera in the icon. And that is a way how you will be able to tell that that is a quick test. So under the quick test, we are going to find the script tab, and this is going to be my script for those two different steps that we saw before in my standard test. So the evidence has been now converted into one entire script. So if I close um, the transaction codes, I can see how many transactions codes are in there. I can expand to see exactly what happened. So we can see the activity and the expected results. So the activity is basically what the tester enter in SAP, and the expected result is the validation made by SAP. So for example, in here we can see uh, that once the, the tester entered the PO number, this is all the validation that SAP generated. And then we can go into plan runs. So we can see in here, instead of having different steps, we're just going to have one plan run, meaning that one tester is going to execute this entire process from beginning to end. So for example, I can click into edit and assign my tester right in here, check mark. And now what we're going to do is do a quick run with the new Panaya player. So same as we saw before with the Panaya recorder, once we click into quick run, this is going to launch the new Panaya player. And we can see it brings SAP right to the front. And this is the new Panaya player. So this is going to give us 4 different execute modes for us to play back this business process from beginning to end. So the first execution mode is the script mode. So if we select a script mode, the player is just going to play back everything from beginning to end. We can also select section mode. So like the name indicates, the player will basically play every of the sections available in the script. So in this case, we have a script with 2 different transaction codes. So the first section will be for ME21N, and then the second section will be for the MIGO transaction code. We can also play back everything step by step or instruction by instruction. So maybe a use case for a step or instruction mode will be if you have a new member in the team that you maybe are training, and they need to see exactly what is going on in SAP while the player is entering all the values. That is a good option for you. So for now, I'm just going to select the script mode, and this is what we are going to oralize for this quick run. Before I press play, let me give you a quick overview of what else is available in here. So right here at the top left, you are going to be able to see the transaction code that you are going to be running in this quick run. Then right in here, you are going to find other very helpful icons. So we have, for example, the navigate icon. This is going to allow you to navigate between steps. So for example, if you want to see what is available in, for example, my step number 8. I can jump there directly, and then we can see the activity and the expected results of that particular step. I can also use the arrows to navigate those particular steps, and then I can just go back to my first step. We can also see this icon show SAP. So if you are using multiple screens, for example, and maybe you can find your SAP, this can be very helpful. Once you press it, that is going to bring SAP to the front. And then in here you have the icon to stop or end the script run. And then from here you can also create a defect. So just like we saw in the standard test, in the quick test, while using the Panaya player, you can also report a defect whenever you encounter any particular issues. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select play. Now we can see that the Panaya player is going to play back this entire script from beginning to end. So just to clarify, if I'm not doing anything in this moment, I have my hands off the keyboard and the mouse. The player is the one who is executing this entire activity. It's taking all the values that we recorded previously and that are available in the script and entering them in the SAP GUI. And we can see how everything is getting validated. There we go. Everything is running smoothly. And there we go. My 11 steps have been run by the Panaya player. The tester didn't need to do any effort. So a good use of the Panaya player would be if you have any regression testing. This can be a great way to execute those activities. So that way the tester can accelerate the execution of those testing activities. So now I'm going to select past and I can say, okay, everything went as planned. And then I'm going to click into save. Okay. And now I refresh my quick run. I'm going to be able to see the evidence of that run that I just executed. So in here, we can see the status. We can see automatically passed for all of them. And then you can also see the activity and expected results. Okay. John, please let me know if there are any questions at the moment.
Still no questions. I think everything looks clear.
Okay, perfect. So now we are going to talk about the script editing capability. So let me go back into my presentation. Okay, so like I mentioned before, the script editing capability was released back in November. And now what you have available is the option to edit your script whenever it's necessary. So it's going to be more flexible. You are going to be able to add comments, maybe disable instructions or disable a particular value or a validation made by SAP or Oracle. You can interact with the tester. You can add manual instructions. And then we also have the smart validation option. So the smart validation is going to allow you to update your script automatically based on your last run. So for instance, if you use the the Panaya Play,
like Anna has lost her connection again. Ileana is aware and she's logging right back in. So bear with us, please.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Thanks, Ileana.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we were talking about the smart validation. And the point I was making is that whenever we use the Panaya player, if we execute something slightly different in the playback of our business process, we can use the smart validation to tell Panaya that that's the way how we want to run that particular testing activity. So we are going to be able to learn this a little more in detail. Um, so for you, if you have been using the scripts before, now you will notice that you're going to find this icon available. That is what the icon that is going to allow you to edit your script. And then we can see that once we open the editing capability, we are going to be able to see the options edit, disable, delete, add before, add after, and convert to manual. So the values can be edited. We can add actions before or after every instruction available in the script, and we can disable or convert to manual any particular instruction. And then, like I said before, we have the smart validation. So if you want to apply the changes that you perform in your last run to the entire script, you can just select the smart validation. And next time, once you play back again that particular testing activity, Panaya will remember what were the changes that you applied before. So it will run those testing activities based on what you did the last time. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into Panaya and I'm gonna show you how you can change values, how you can add commands, how you can add parameters. So if you wanna make your values more dynamic, you can use the parameters to do so. And then after this, we are going to run again or a script with the Panaya player, just with the changes that we are going to be applying to the script. So let me share my screen again. And please let me know if you can see my screen.
You can see it fine.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna switch into the script tab. And there we go. So here we have our script. So I'm gonna start with a very simple change. So let's say writing here, step number 5. Just 1 second. So let's say here in step number 6, we have PO quantity 20. So if I double click in that particular step, or if I click into the edit icon, this is going to show me the editing window that is going to allow me to apply any changes to the values or the instructions available in this particular step. So under the PO quantity, the tester entered 20. Let's say this is a mistake. We need to fix this. It's not 20, is 25. So very easy. We can click into edit. And just like that, we can update that particular value. Now we can see how the volume has been updated in my script. So very simple change, but it can be very helpful. So whenever the tester enter a wrong value, you can just change it manually right in here using the editing capability. Now, let's say, for example, if I go down in here, we have all these blank sections that we don't really need. It can be maybe confusing for somebody who is running this activity. So I can click into edit, and then we can select that entire section and we can delete it. So let's take a look. We have the option disable and delete it. Let's learn the difference. So disable, like the name indicates, will disable this particular instruction, meaning that the player is not gonna oralize that particular section when trying to put the values in SAP. But the great thing about disable is that later on, if we think that we need that particular instruction, we can enable it back again. While delete is just going to get rid of that entire instruction. So with the delete, we cannot reverse that option. So if you are not 100% sure that you want to delete that instruction, I advise you go with the disable option. Other than that, if you think, I don't really need this in my script, I'm just going to delete it, you can select that option as well. And there we go. And right in here, we have the final result of this particular, the execution of this particular transaction code, which is generate the PO number. So what I'm going to do is add a message to the tester and say, okay, in our business process, once we have the PO number, we need to enter this into Salesforce or, I don't know, any other application that you may use, ServiceNow, etc. So what I'm going to do is select that particular instruction. We can see it's highlighted in blue. We are going to select add after. So right here, we are going to select command. So we can see we can add after or before a particular instruction, and we are going to find 3 different options. So we can add a command, we can add a manual instruction, or a comment. So I'm going to go with the option command. And then right in here, I'm going to say, okay, show a message. So I'm going to say, please enter the new PO number in Salesforce.com. And now we can see the message is available in the script. But in addition to this, I can also say, okay, after the message has been displayed, I'm going to use command again. So we can see under command, we have a lot of different options. We can display a message. We can get a value from the tester. We are going to explore this option in a little bit. We can say, just skip the next instruction. We can put the player to sleep. We can play a beep sound. We can run a particular program. You can execute code, or you can open an URL. So in here, I'm asking the tester, please enter the PO number in Salesforce. So what I can do is I can open Salesforce.com for the tester, just using the Panaya player. Okay. And then there we go. So now we can see the message that is going to be displayed for the tester and the action that I'm going to ask the player to perform, which is open salesforce.com. Then I'm going to click OK. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you how you can also use parameters. So right in here at the top, let's say for the vendor code, so I'm going to open the editing capability. I'm going to select the vendor value, and I'm going to say, okay, add before a command, and I'm going to get this value from the tester. So let's suppose that we have different testers that are going to be running this testing activity, and maybe they are located in different offices, and we need each of them to use the vendor code based on their location. So I can say, okay, once the Panaya player gets to this particular instruction, I need the tester to be the one who's going to be entering the value. I don't want to use the recorded value because the values are going to be different based on the location that the tester is going to be working with. So I'm going to actually ask the Panaya player to get the value from the tester. So right in here, I can say, okay, please enter vendor code based on your location. And right in here, I can create a parameter. So I'm going to make this value dynamic. So that way, every time the tester enter it, Panaya is going to capture that particular value and use it in SAP. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is use that parameter that I just created and replace all of this value with the parameter. So right in here we have add parameter. I'm going to select it, add, okay. And now we can see the entire value has been replaced by that parameter that we have created. Then I'm gonna press okay. And I'm gonna make sure to save the changes to my script. And I'm gonna go back into plan run. So now we are going to execute a run with the changes that we applied to this script. Okay, so let me bring the player right here. And I'm going to select the script mode again to execute this plan run. So there we go, play. Okay, so in here we can see, please enter vendor code based on your location. So let's say I'm gonna use 1000. That is my code based on my location. So I'm gonna click into OK. Now we can see how the player has used that value to continue with the plan run. So now in here, one of the changes that I applied to the script was the PO quantity. So the original value was 20, but I updated to 25. So the Panaya player is asking me, okay, is this correct? Like, is this really what you want to do? So we can see definitely the new value that I entered once I edited the script has been entered in SAP, but we just need to tell the player that it's okay. We can continue performing this activity with this PO quantity of 25. So I can click into skip and ignore. But you also have additional options. So whenever you encounter any errors in your plan run, you can say, okay, please retry this instruction, or you can specify that you are going to perform it manually, or you can select skip and ignore, or you can skip and mark as an error. So if you think, okay, I really want to continue with the execution of this testing activity, but what we encounter is definitely an error, you can definitely report it in here. And then you also have the option to open a defect from here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select skip and ignore. So again, skip and ignore. And we can see the player is continuing with the execution. Okay, so in here I have the message, please enter the new PO number in Salesforce. Okay, now we can see the Panaya player opening salesforce.com. Okay, skip and ignore again. Okay, excellent. So the run has been finalized, but I'm going to select back to run just to point out a few things. So let me just go back few steps. Okay, there we go. So actually, just bear with me here. So we can see everything that was validated automatically by the Panaya player in SAP is going to be marked with this green check mark. But then whenever we encounter any errors, any issues, so we saw that the Panaya player stopped when it was entering the PO number because it was different from the recorded value. So we can see whenever there is a situation like that, the Panaya player is going to display this icon. So that is a way how we can differentiate between everything that was passed and executed automatically by the player versus whenever we perform anything manually or we give a particular instruction to the player. So just something I wanted to point out. And then I'm just going to press OK. I'm going to pass this run, click into save. And there we go. Just like that, we can see how the Panaya player um, gets all the editing or the values that we have edited in the script and apply them to the execution that we are doing of that particular plan run. Okay. So John, please let me know if maybe there are any questions.
I think you're, I think it's very clear. We don't have any questions in the inbox. We got plenty of attendees, but no questions.
Okay, great. Um, so now we are going to talk about the smart validation. So the first thing that we did in here, we performed a quick run with no problems, but then we applied some changes to the script. We saw that when we were executing again the plan run of that script with the changes, the Panaya player stopped us to ask, okay, is this correct? You changed the PO number, is that correct? So we can use the smart validation to avoid that the Panaya player continue asking us something that we already perform and say it's okay. So once we select the smart validation option, this is going to give us two different options. Okay, do you want to apply the changes based on your last execution? So for example, the execution that we just did, or you can also apply changes based on Panaya crowd analysis. So Panaya constantly is gathering information from our customers of best practices, the transaction codes that are being run across the globe, so we can also use the Panaya crowd analysis suggestions if we want to accept those suggestions made by Panaya based on those best practices that we are constantly gathering across the usage of our platform. So for now, I'm just going to select apply suggestions and then click into apply. So it's telling me 5 validations were disabled. And now if I go back into plan run, I'm gonna execute this again. So with the smart validation, now that I'm going to execute this again, I shouldn't be stopped again around the PO number validation, for example. So, okay, so again, it's asking me the vendor code based on my location. Okay, great. So we can see how the Panaya player was able to use the smart validation to apply those changes that we did in the last run. So you saw that I wasn't stopped like in my previous plan run to ask me if the changes that I applied were okay. Now with the smart validation, everything went through, and it didn't ask me again to validate those changes. So I'm gonna click into save. Okay. Now, once again, we have our script, and under the script tab, we have the activity expected result. We have the option to edit any values available in that particular script. Here at the top, we have the script viewer. So if we want to navigate everything available in the script, we can do so. We can jump in between steps. We can see the values that are available for that particular step. And then we also have additional icons such as the smart validation that we just navigated and apply. And then just for future reference from here, so we have this script because we use the evidence that we previously
Eliana, you lost your audio.
can you hear me?
Here you go.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So let me share my screen again. Here we go. Okay. So I'm not 100% sure what was the last thing that you were able to hear, but what I was pointing out is that in the end, that you don't have a standard test with evidence that you can convert as a quick test, so then you can create an entire script. You do have the option to create a brand new quick test under your folder or under your cycle. And then once you create the quick test, right in here, you are going to find this option record. So once you select that option record, all it's going to do is open the Panaya recorder so you can start recording your testing activities. And then once you finalize with the recording, uh, that is going to become your script. It's going to be available right in here under the script tab, just like we saw under these other quick tests that we were utilizing for this particular training.
Eliana,
Okay.
let's just take a kind of recap what we've done today. And I
John,
hope you
I'm
can hear.
sorry, I can't hear you well.
Sorry. Let's just recap what we've done to this point. So we've gone in and we've run did a standard test, and we ran and recorded that standard test. We created evidence, and we leveraged that evidence to create a quick test.
and that
Mm-hmm.
and those the recording the evidence that we had created was the basis for the script of the quick test. So then when we ran the quick test in the mode, whatever mode you wanted to do, you were able to, we did this in a different sequence, but you could have immediately gone to validate all of the ignore steps to clean that up to make it run much more cleanly end to end. And then you could have customized that script to add some flexibility and give finer control by adding different messages and prompts and parameters and all those kind of things so that you could very easily create a baseline regression test library that you could deliver across the enterprise so that different organizations could use the same business process but have different data within there, and that would run very quickly uh, for the different testers. I think that's pretty much what we've seen. Any comment on that?
No, you just described it very well. That's exactly what we have done today so far.
Well, I think I hope our audience will be able to have not be less disruptive as they're asking their testers to execute different tests. One of the things that I'm working with a lot of my customers on is to create a kind of a hierarchy of regression tests. And so with that is like level one would be almost a smoke test, a very high level, very basic order to cash, plan to pay, procure to pay, plan to produce, et cetera, of a very basic business process. And then once those are done, then you have kind of a different level. And then after those are done, you might have very release specific regression tests that you're doing. But the idea here is we ought to be able to put these in a library and make it very easy for our customers to run these quickly and efficiently and capturing all the data and the evidence as they're doing it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and another thing, John, so we can also make once we have the script, if we add, for example, messages, we saw how with the once the player is executing that testing activity, we can interact with the tester. So it's another great feature that we can use while a tester is performing any particular business process.
Well, I think that's a really good point. Is I think that one of the promises of automated testing is to try to just automate everything, and the reality is the the uh, the test scripts have got to keep up with the business processes and the way that the users change. So the idea here that what you want to do is you're going to need kind of some attended testing, but really to run through a script, maybe three-quarters of the way, ask for some interaction, change a specific value, and keep going. That should really uh, reduce the amount of maintenance that is required to keep these scripts accurate and relevant.
Correct.
Good.
Okay.
Well, I think you're being very clear because I still don't see any questions in the inbox. Um, so if there, I think you're probably pretty close to the end of
Okay. Yeah, maybe, John, what I would like to add, if for some reason somebody goes back to Panaya and wants to try it out anything that we covered today, but maybe forgot how to do something, just as a quick reminder and best practice, always on the top right of Panaya, you're gonna find the help icon. Once you click into Success Center, this is going to open the Panaya Success Center. So this is a great place for you to find answers to any questions that you may have. So for example, we learned about quick test and how to perform a quick run. So we can, for example, type something simple like quick test, and then this is going to show us different options. We can select the recommended article, and right there, once we open that article, we are going to be able to see a quick video that is going to show us that particular functionality, and then a step-by-step guide that is going to give us all the instructions of how to perform that particular functionality in Panaya. So just a quick reminder that this is available here for you to utilize. So whenever you are navigating Panaya, even if you are performing something different than anything that we learned today, but if you encounter maybe you are not able to do it, just come here into the Success Panaya Center, and right in here you're going to find the answers of any questions that you may have. Okay, and I think we have only 7 minutes left, so I'm not sure if maybe you want to leave this time for any questions. If anybody wants me to demonstrate again anything that I did today, I'm more than happy to do that too.
Okay. Any questions before we break? Ileana, thank you so much for walking us through the player, this test center. We're going to put this recording out on the public recording afterwards. Any questions before we break?
Okay.
Well, I think with that, we can probably call it. I'm going to go ahead and post the survey. You should be able to see that on your screen, everyone in attendance. If you don't have any questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But please complete the survey before you go. I'll keep the session open here if anybody, in order for you to complete the survey, and then we'll be publishing the notes here. Any questions before we call it a day? Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. I'll leave the session on.